I'm Jason, and I, with a bunch of other writers, started Immortal Works last year, and so that, I guess, makes me an expert on how to start a small press. We'll see. We have authors already. One of them is me, but we have James Wymore. There's that guy that you can't probably see it at the bottom left, John Olson. Has anyone ever met him?
I have.
So it's all on our website. I don't want to take too much time, but so there are some crazy people too who signed on with us, and that's Richard Baxter. He just signed on with us last week, I think. So we're growing fast. These are our titles. I'm just giving you the rundown so you know that I actually do something before I tell you how to do it. So we've got one more coming out in March, and we're really excited about that. The author's here actually at our table. You should come say hi. She's awesome. She has like bright pink hair, and she loves The Simpsons. She's really cool. So we're really excited. We actually got, you guys know what the No Sleep podcast is? Anyone listen to that? Okay, well I guess it's big in horror circles. And we got Jessica McAvoy to do the audio work for this one, so we were really excited. So go ahead and stop me at any time. I'm just going to kind of give you an overview. This is a big subject. And like I said, stop me with questions. So we'll start with the history of printing. So in the beginning, you can't see that, that's a caveman writing on the wall. Then came animal skins and scrolls. I hope we don't have any like anthropologists because this is like woefully inaccurate. Then bound books. And then there was a gigantic leap forward in technology. So we don't know how that happened. Oops. And so until recently you had to have a printing press and print thousands of copies of a book if you wanted to do what we're doing. And then you had to warehouse them until they sold. And of course, there's still a lot of big traditional publishers who do that. I'd actually heard rumor of a publisher who was who's traditional, but is actually going to POD, so print on demand. So it's kind of catching on with the big guys too. That all required a ton of money. And then came the internet. So ebooks, print on demand, Amazon, they all kind of gave rise to the small press. And some examples of small presses, Jellyfish is a good example, Future House, Skylar too, is that how you say that? Okay, sorry. I'm always worried that I'm saying it wrong.
Because it starts with an X.
Because it starts with an X. So you have a lot of local ones. Widow is another one. And some of them actually do pretty okay. So it's a new advantage. That's Spartacus, in case you can. So a lot of opportunity for authors. You've probably heard both good and bad about the democratization of the internet and digital publishing. And actually, it was only about 10 years ago that it was kind of taboo to do your own thing. That's not the case anymore. That's good and bad because everybody's doing their own thing, so the market's kind of flooded. But there's definitely a lot of opportunity. Who knows Michael Brent Collins? Yeah, awesome guy, really funny. And he does his own self-publishing. Now, this is not a self-publishing presentation, but it's kind of along the same lines. So. All right, I'm not going to go over like the business setup steps. That's kind of not my thing, but you definitely have to start with raising money. I tried this at first, it didn't work. So, but my sign said we'll publish for food, but no good. So who wants to kind of guess what the startup cost kind of would be for your own small press? Somebody's can guess. Jay?
Well, I would say that probably around 3,500.
You're wrong. I don't know, actually. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, you're probably right. That's probably about a good estimate. So obviously you get a business license. You don't have to get a physical address, but it's important if you want to look like you're not trying to scam people. Or you can use your house. I don't really want to do that because, yeah. Also, website domain, website hosting, website templates. I use Office 365 for my collaboration with my authors, and there's also free tools you can use, but that's expensive as well. Use Adobe software. If you wanted to get everything they offer, it's about $400 a year. So that probably doesn't add up to $3,500, but there's more involved. So those are some things we had to deal with. So production costs per book. Okay, so one thing that I haven't kind of impressed upon a lot of our acquisitions people is that books cost a lot of money to make, at least up front. So you actually have to buy your ISBN. It's not like Amazon or CreateSpace. They don't give you one. If you want to actually be taken seriously or looked at as professional, you got to get your own ISBNs. And you can get like, it's like $10 to $400 or something. You don't need to buy them piecemeal. But you do need to get them. And that puts you in the international database. Okay, editing can range from your best friend doing your favors to a lot. A cheap, good editor would be like $500. I don't want to say cheap because I'm not talking about the quality of their work, but affordable. Who knows Kelly Stoker? Yeah, she's great.
Both sides?
What's that?
What was the both sides?
I'm guessing this is probably about 80,000 words. If you're going to do something really, really big, you're going to pay more. But going rate for editors is like something like 6 cents a word. It ended up being something like $3,000. Okay? So that's a lot of money. So what you want to do, you want to make sure you have good editing because that will kill you, obviously. Just like self-publishing, if you don't have good editing, you kind of, obviously you're an amateur is what people will think. But
so I'm under. How do you pay $500 for something that costs $3,000?
Friendship.
That's the low.
That's really the low end of it.
I paid $1,200 for my book.
Yeah. So I guess you should say it's starting cost would probably be a good way to put that.
So are you hiring freelance editors or are you?
Yes. Yeah, we are. And I've been very, very lucky. I've been a published author for about 3.5 years. So I've been doing the con circuit and talking to people, and I've actually just made a lot of awesome friends. And so your network is going to be super important because that's where you'll get like your discounts from professionals, not from amateurs, but real people who know what they're doing. But if they like you, they'll do it for less. Not to take advantage of anybody, but if they're in with you, if they like your idea, they're gonna help out. So I'll talk about that a little bit in a second. Yeah, so these cover design is actually probably upwards of $400. I put $300 because that's what I got away with for my first publication. And I got really lucky. Again, it was a friend I'd met. And
Does that include illustration?
you're talking about like in the book, like picture books?
No, the illustration for the cover and the design are two separate things.
Yes, I got both actually for $300, so I got a huge deal. It's not going to be like that. If you're doing an illustrated cover, you're definitely going to pay a lot more. And you're right, they are separate things. So, fortunately, I do a lot with Photoshop in my daytime job, and so I know a little bit how to do the layouts and things like that. So that came in handy. I go through Ingram Spark right now, just as kind of where we're starting from. I might change that up, but to set up one title is about $50. Unless you find a coupon, which I did, and it was free, and that's awesome. So that's a lot of money. And then you got a bunch of sundry costs. Like I said, this isn't going to be like a super big detailed list. What I wanted to do is kind of give you guys an overview, and then I wanted to field your questions. So bear with me for just a few more slides, and then we can just start a dialogue here. So, all right, getting and saving money with your business. I had to do this to earn some money for Immortal Works. So No, I'm kidding. Investors. I was able to get some investors, people who believed in my vision and contributed significant amounts of money. One thing that's really awesome, the publisher who picked me up 3 years ago is called Curiosity Plus Press, and they are located all over the world. They have a virtual office, which is awesome. So basically, they don't have a physical building you go to. They just do everything online through like Google Hangouts or Skype or collaborative software, things like that. And it's worked out really well for them. They're doing awesome. They have like over 300 titles, and they're doing really well. So the virtual office is a huge thing. You don't need to go down and rent space. That's not what you need to do yet. If you want to do that later on, if you're making good enough money, that's awesome. But I like a virtual office. You can do 401k business loan programs. They have some of those. It's different than just taking your money out. You actually pay it back. It's a good thing to look into. Business loans, I have not done this because I don't want to. I'm just afraid of debt. So you can sell a kidney. I hear they go for a lot of money on the black market. And the best thing that has helped Immortal Works is using what we have. Again, I talked about the network, drawing on your network of friends and colleagues. I'm fortunate enough to have a lot of friends who are authors and editors, and, like I said, graphic designers, things like that. So we've just kind of used what we have. It kind of involves software too. You have to be careful with software just because of licensure issues. But so far, the software I've been using is for small business too. So, but I had that pre-existing to our business. Yeah, work through networking connections. Use people, but do it nicely. And then social media marketing is huge. You probably have all seen the get rich by going on Twitter kind of thing, you know. That does happen, not usually. However, social media marketing is a powerful tool to have, and it's a must-have anymore. But for your business, if you're doing a publishing business, we get our pitches out of Twitter a lot of the time. Some of our queries have come out of Twitter. They have PitMad. Has anyone heard of that before? Yeah, it's hashtag PitMad, and you just go on and you're just basically doing a 146-character pitch, and if someone likes what you are pitching, they'll message you, and then you can send them a query. And we got like, oh man,
PitMad, M-A-D?
P-I-T-M-A-D, yeah, PitMad, hashtag. I hate hashtags, by the way, but I use them because, you know, you have to. So just don't use them in your speech. That really kills me. So yeah, we got like 2,000 in one day interest in our publisher from just PitMad alone. And that was awesome. So, and there's a lot of free online tools.
2,000 queries in one day?
2,000 inquiries, I guess, not the query letters, but people pitching, they wanted us to take a look at their queries. So obviously we didn't do all of them, but yeah, we had a really good crop of that. So free online tools for any kind of office work. Google Docs is awesome. It's just a great way to share files and work. So I'm just kind of running over these things. I don't want to turn into an infomercial. Just a little bit more about software and tools. You'll probably have to use Adobe products again. And I wish they were paying me to advertise, but they're not. It's just personal testimony. Again, Office 365 is great. And you will need Acrobat, especially when it comes to formatting your ebooks. There are certain things that Word can't do, or they're so esoteric that they're hard to find. But some formatting stuff you will need Acrobat editor for. So a Sigil is free. Sigil, that's an ebook formatter program. It's really great. Also Calibri. Oops. And yes, that is an orangutan using a saw. I watched that for hours when I first saw it. I think she got tired and went to sleep. This is the GIF, but I saw the actual video. So.
Did they send like a robot orangutan to sit with her and saw with her?
I think they were just, yeah, something like that. But yeah, I was really worried I was going to lose my job if my bosses saw that, you know. So,
So what's Calibri?
Calibri's another ebook formatting program. It's a reader and a formatter. And those are cool because they'll take you through like, you know, the title page, the metadata, the table of contents, which can be a bugger. So, yeah, it's a great program and it's free. And then I use Online Convert a lot, not for the final product sometimes, but just to get like demos out to people so they can read them on their, or just to test the formatting of the ebook to make sure it's shaping up. So, all right, so carving out a niche, you gotta find something to make you unique because everybody's either an author now or they're doing this, which is awesome. I love that. I think that's great. But it does make a large crowd to try and get noticed out of. You guys can spot Wall. First one to spot Wall though gets a free ebook, audiobook. It's so hard to see, isn't it?
Yes.
I was expecting that on the screen. I'm sorry. Let's see.
Here he is.
Okay.
In front of the table.
Free audiobook for you.
Woo!
So, yeah, you want to stand out in the crowd. So our niche with Immortal Works is audio. That's where our emphasis is. And ACX, have you guys heard of that? Makes it really easy. I also built the sound booth in my house, which was a lot of fun. Got the equipment. I was able to do that all for like $200. And it sounds perfect. It sounds professional. So if you want to know the specific equipment, you can email me or talk to me later. I can tell you what it is because it's not that expensive, but as you would think. But all our books are going to be on Audible. They're not always at the time of release, just because it's a little bit more involved. But you'll have professional readers reading audiobooks is what we tell our authors, and it's kind of our thing. Last year, even though we're just getting started, I was looking at our sales. Audiobooks were the winner by far over ebooks and print. So this is the next big thing, and in my view. And if it's not, I'll be homeless and panhandling under the Viaduct, so come see me sometime. We also, to help promote the audio side of what we're doing, we do a Flash Fiction podcast every Friday. It's called Flash Fiction Friday. And we just take subs from anybody. Obviously they're unpaid, but the reward you get is you get on the podcast. That's on iTunes also, as well as YouTube. We have J. Scott Savage is doing a piece for us here coming up soon, so that'll be really awesome. Yeah, so one thing, you can't do it alone. I have, so in our company there's 4 founders, is what we call them. Me and 3 other guys who also happen to be the investors. We all take a position and do certain things. James Wymore, who knows him? Yeah, he's one of the founders of Immortal Works, and he does acquisitions. We have one of them who's kind of our accountant, things like that. And these are people with like real business experience. Our marketer, I was lucky to get someone who's done business in the millions of dollars, made and sold companies. He's had more money than I will ever have, which is funny because we grew up together. So, but you find the right people with the right talents, and then you work together as a team. My first impulse was just to do this by myself, and I'm glad I didn't do that. So I'll tell you why, because the time commitment is insane. So this is not scientifically accurate, but it'll give you kind of a good idea. A lot of these overlap, and it says something bad about me that my family time is only like 19%. But it became another job. I now get up at 4 in the morning and go to bed at like 10 every night. Maybe you guys do that already. For me, I was like a 9-hour guy before this, so it took some adjusting and meth. But I was able to get into a swing of doing that. And then on top of that, I have my own writing that's published by CQ that I have to finish. So I'm not trying to play the martyr here. I'm just saying that it's a huge time commitment. Yeah. Like I said, going back to the insanity thing. So, why start your own small press? Well, I don't have the answer for you guys, and I actually kind of hadn't had an answer for me for a while. I was talking to a guy who writes for Drake. His last name, he's like, why are you doing this? And at the time I couldn't give him a real answer. But now I think I have one, and I think my answer is I've always been passionate about books. I've always been passionate about creativity and stories. When I got my own contract, even though it was with a small press, it wasn't Tor or Bain or anything, I was so ecstatic. I couldn't quit my job yet, but just the feeling of getting, someone wants to buy your story because it's that good. There's nothing like it. And so, I don't know, I just wanted to, do that with other people. I wanted to kind of, I don't know, share it, I guess. Because we all succeed together in this industry, really. You make the connections, and you know, I really believe that a rising tide lifts all boats. So this was just another way for me to help fellow authors and all of us to try and get us out there and sell books. So we do what we love to do. Yeah, a second. So right now I kind of want to turn this into, I know you've had to sit and listen to me drone on for 10 minutes, but let's talk. Let's do a dialogue. Hi. Bye. I'm always that person. So yeah, why'd you guys come to this panel? I was curious who would want to come to it. Just curiosity, morbid curiosity. Yeah.
No, I had the idea of, I know some people when they indie publish, they just go under their name, and then some people who make their own small press and publish all the titles and make that one. And I was hoping you'd make a pitch upon which way is better.
Well,
the small press is better route.
It's a stepping stone, obviously. We all want to be there, you know, in the end. New York Times bestseller list, you know, hanging out with Stephen King once the restraining order expires. But yeah, we're definitely doing different. We're not doing just slap a logo on our book so we can do our own thing. We're full service, and for me, that I don't know, the synergy that creates, the cooperation, the teamwork. I prefer it over just making it my own Jason King books, and then publishing them through CreateSpace or even through Ingram. So I probably didn't answer your question. I'm not sure I understood it correctly. Is that kind of what you're?
So I understand that you are a small press, as in you want to invite other authors to come in.
Yeah, we have, yeah.
Okay, so you are,
we're taking
I
pictures.
guess, a legit small press? That sounds horrible.
Legit, yeah. Hashtag legit. Yeah, I mean, we business license, everything, we got our ducks in a row. And we take pictures. I don't know if you heard earlier, but we have like 7 signed authors already, so go ahead.
Do you have to have a business license? Do you have to have like a brick and mortar store to have a business license?
I think you need a business license if you're doing business, even if it's online.
Okay.
So, and since we're selling at cons, it kind of is a weird gray area. So.
Quick question. So what's the difference between a micro press and a small press?
Probably just the language, the size. Yeah, you could probably right now call us a micropress, I guess. I haven't heard that term before. What have you heard it in relation to? Just.
So we're working in a lot of different angles in trying to figure out whether to do a micro press, a small press, or more traditional. And when I say we, there's a group of us who are working with indigenous types of authors,
Okay.
where it is harder to get into the mainstream publishing. And so that was one of the things that we've been looking at, the difference between micropress, small press, regular traditional publishing house, and then a nonprofit publishing house. And so
For nonprofit, you probably want to talk to Jared. They have that Big World thing, right? The League of Utah Writers. What's Jared's last name right now?
Quan.
Jared Kwan. Are you familiar with him?
I'm actually helping them. They can.
So you know, yeah.
I know that's, but
So tell Jared I didn't forget his last name.
Yeah, I know. So aside from them, I'm already helping them with the nonprofit side, and I'm definitely an expert in that. But aside from that,
So you got the pie like sliced up way more than I do. Like.
yeah, you definitely. So that was my question.
honestly, I don't know the scale, if there's any like real official, micro press or small press, medium press, you know. Obviously there's a big difference between us and, you know, Random House. They're the traditional big publishers. Yeah, so I'm sorry, I guess I just
No,
want.
I appreciate that because I've asked quite a few people and I've done internships with other publishing houses, both large and small.
Yeah.
And none of them really seem to really tell me black and white because like, I don't know.
So I don't think there is. I think it's probably just a continuum, I guess, of size. I don't know. So.
Yeah, if you're kind of small for a small press, maybe you're a micro.
True. There you go. Cool. Yes.
One of the reasons I wanted to come to this is I'm trying to learn more about marketing stuff. What are some of the biggest challenges you've overcome? Or
Money.
how have you-
Marketing costs a lot of money.
Just even like web ads and stuff?
Yeah. I mean, web ads are more affordable, but if you want any kind of effective impact, you have to have some serious money behind it. See, I'm also the digital marketer for Siegelbook, so that was kind of my day job. And I did the social media for them for a long time. And I do the email marketing for them now. So I had a little bit of an idea of what I was getting into that way, especially because I didn't have the same kind of budget that they have, you know, for marketing.
So what would you recommend if you've got a minuscule non-existent budget?
You definitely do want social media, work that. Social media has shown us that you don't actually have to have money to succeed. I mean, it's a lot harder now because everybody's paying for ads. But I mean, look at some of the YouTubers. You know, my son watches Crazy Russian Hacker. You know, you guys seen that? It's just this dude talks with a Russian accent and tells you how to like bake certain kinds of chips or fix a radiator, weird stuff. But he's got millions of views and thousands of subscribers. And so with social media, although there is a lot of competition, if you play it right, you can definitely get a lot of advertising for very little money. So the key is just to work it. And I did a presentation on social media at another conference last fall. But that's its own subject altogether. But right now, I think for authors and for small publishers, social media is your best friend as far as marketing goes. The second thing I would say is going to like conventions like this, networking. You know, we get tables. Honestly, they're not to sell books, even though we like doing that. But we have a table in the vendor room, and it really is just marketing. You know, it's really all we're doing. Even presentations like this, you know, is an awesome opportunity. I'm grateful I was invited to give it. But it's also what you guys know and what I do. So, yeah, start with what's available to you. Word of mouth too. If you have a network, if you have an audience already built in, like maybe you have a blog and you have like 100 followers, you know, there's your customer base right there. You start small. And if your content's good, it will grow. It's just how it works. So it's a little bit harder nowadays, but it's still possible. So, and then as soon as you start getting a return on your books and your products, you can start putting that into some more serious marketing efforts. So buying more pay-per-clicks, you know, Google AdWords or on some social channels. You know, eventually buying a billboard on the side of the freeway that causes crashes, you know, things like that. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
You didn't mention it at all in your costs, but there's got to be some legal costs involved with like creating boilerplate contracts and working with these authors on
Yeah.
what the contract ends up being.
Yeah, that was
Okay.
another area we got lucky. I have a lawyer friend,
Uh-huh.
and we were able to I have a lot of experience with contracts through my author experience, and so we were able to put together something that was legal and generous and works. You know, so far no one's tried to sue us. So.
Okay.
But yeah, you're right. You definitely have to have those legal issues that you want to be careful of. So that's a good question.
You know of any other sources of getting contracts, either things that are already out there existing or building one from scratch?
If you have lawyer friends, you probably could put one together from scratch and existing stuff that's out there. Um, another good avenue to go is through like LegalZoom. I've done them. They're awesome. They can give you your business license too. They are a bit pricey, but they're worth it, I think. So they can help you with those kinds of things. Yes.
Like, so do you use like print on demand? Like, how do you find?
Yes, print on demand is, yeah, we couldn't do it otherwise because of the cost of warehousing and doing a print run of 10,000 books would put me in the poorhouse pretty quick. So, but yeah, print on demand is great because the quality is almost, it's on par with other books. If not, it's really good, heading that way. So I can't tell the difference. I've seen print run books and POD books. If it's done right, they look the same. So, yes.
Do you see yourselves like growing and becoming more of a traditional publishing house? Like, what is your guys' goal and goal?
Again, so the goal of Immortal Works, again, is just to promote the author community, my books, and also all my friends' books, and then finding more people who are talented. The focus that we're placing on is with digital audio and digital media. We have plans for like an app that will deliver like free content, free stories and things like that. And so I would say we're probably not going the traditional route. We print books because everybody wants books to buy and hold, but our main thrust is going to be all digital, basically. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no,
And the cost is a lot lower with digital, obviously.
Does it pay out for
At first it can be, but it gives you a lot of freedom to experiment. I mean, if you do a print run of 10,000 books and you do marketing around it, you're done. But if I put out one book and it's an ebook and an audio book, maybe I just didn't do it right. The cost it's not going to be an ongoing cost of like warehousing and things like that. So there's no inventory to worry about and try to get rid of if you screw up. So a lot of freedom there. Yes.
What about the differences between publishing novels versus anthologies?
In what regard?
Like, how is that different from the business standpoint? The different things where you have to coordinate it differently and work with different numbers of people.
Okay, anthologies don't make any money, not for the author, not for the publisher. Their worth is more kind of in a marketing vein. Also, you're tapping other people's networks. So when I say that they don't make any money, I'm talking about the immediate sale, return on investment. In the long run, though, they can. Especially if you get some bigger names in your anthology. It's all about exposure. So it's a good thing to do, but it's mainly a marketing for us. It's not a sell books to make money off books. Does that make sense? Okay. At least that's the way, in our analysis, we've seen it that way. And I think CQ my publisher, feels the same way. So, yes.
Did you have to word your contract differently since you're not with your publishing house and you're with a different publishing house? Did they ever have an issue with a conflict of interest, or is that written in your agreement?
I actually went to them first and said, hey, I want to do this. Is it okay, or are you going to dump me?
Yeah.
And they said it was fine. They gave me their blessing. They actually helped me out with some resources. And the reason was because we're going after different markets. With Immortal Works, we're kind of more of I hesitate to say family friendly because I don't want you to think like Disney cute bunnies and things like that. We try to run down the middle as far as content goes so that we can get as broad an audience as possible. So we call it general audiences, is our philosophy, but not rated G, just probably about a lightweight PG-13 as far as content goes, but a story that's written not specifically for certain genres either, but something that's written for anyone to enjoy. So we're trying to cross genres, and part of that is controlling the content. So we won't publish anything that's like R-rated or explicit, or sexual, things like that. So, but by the same token, we don't do kids books. So. I'm sorry, Jimmy. That'll be our imprint, Immortal Works. So. I'm just kidding.
Okay.
I couldn't do that. If I wanted to make money, faster, you know. But, so yeah, that's kind of what we're doing. And so yeah, we have different markets. We're going after, I don't know, I hate to say the Mormon market because we're not going after that. That's something that's owned already. But we're going after the people who, you know, are just down in the middle of the road, kind of share with your family kind of books. So. Yes?
What's the actual mechanism, I guess, of turning the digital copy into a physical copy?
So,
I mean, you're probably not walking into Kinko's and saying, here's my file, print it.
oh, no. Definitely not. The funny thing is, Kinko's would be like a lot more expensive. You know, the quality would be a lot less. No, what we do is we go through, there's several different sources that independent publishers can go through. The one we choose is Ingram Spark, or yeah. And they're another subsidiary of Ingram. Do you guys know who Ingram is? Okay. So they've got some like baby companies to kind of help facilitate what we're doing. Lightning Source is another one for kind of the self-publishing side. But through them, you do all the, they have standards you have to meet as far as formatting goes. And once you have a standard, you can upload your file, and then they turn it into a print book. It's really oversimplifying it, I'm sorry. But it is a process. It has to go through review by them, and then by you and by them. It's a ping pong game until it's what it's supposed to be, you know? And then once it's there, it goes into the Ingram database. It can be ordered. And you can tell them if you want it ordered all over the world, you know, as a physical book, which is dangerous if you get returns. You tell them what the wholesale cost you want it to be, even though there's a kind of an industry standard, which is 55%. But
55% to who?
55% in favor of Ingram.
So whatever the cost on the book is.
I'm sorry, that's when the book publisher goes to buy the book. So there you have the retail of the book, you'll set that. So if I said the retail is $14.99, then if Barnes & Noble wants the book, they only have to pay 55%, or they get a 55% discount. Sorry, math is hard, that's why I'm a writer. So, and so your profit continually like funnels down the more the more you go. And with physical books, we make next to nothing. So unless you're, at least with paperback, we make a little bit. But if you try to do hardback, at least to us in the position of this time, we'd actually lose money. So again, our thrust is digital with physical copies to kind of market the brand. So does that make sense?
Yeah.
Kind of got off on a tangent. I do that.
Well, you're not trying to actually do the printing yourself. You go ahead and get the digital product ready,
right,
and then you hand it off to somebody who has the actual machines.
And they have the connections. They have the distribution network, so you don't have to establish that. The difference between having going for like Ingram Spark or Lightning Source is if you go into Barnes & Noble and say, hey, I want you to carry my book that I got off CreateSpace, a lot of times they're not going to do that because it's flagged as self-published in their system. But if you go through Ingram, it's still flagged as print on demand, but it's not a self-published thing. It's a professional, industry standard book, and they know what they're getting because these facilitators have standards you have to meet. So you can't just, I mean, you can have typos, you can have a lot of typos, but as far as like formatting goes and prices go and the way you do business, they prefer to go with like Ingram, and that's what you get when you tap these facilitators. So, and they make money off of it too. It costs $50 to set up a title. I think you get $60 if you do the ebook and the physical book at the same time. ISBNs, like I said, they cost $100. So it's definitely it's definitely worth it because once you are legitimate, I guess #legit, then you can do the Barnes & Noble thing, or whatever. So. I never had much success at Barnes & Noble. I think it's because I'm not a pretty girl. So. I'm just kidding. Nobody heard me. Cool. Yeah. Yes.
So how's your press doing? I mean, you've only been out for a little bit. You guys aren't in the black yet, are you?
Not yet. No.
Even with all of your it sounds like you guys did a bunch of stuff to cut costs all over the place however you could. But
We did, yeah.
so how long do you think it'll take you in order to be where you're saying, hey, we're making profits now?
The goal is to be in the black by our anniversary, which will be September. So
That's pretty good.
that's the goal.
Yeah.
We'll see if we reach it.
Yeah.
And then if we don't, everybody who's doing business with me will get pitchforks and fire and torches, and we'll have to go to Mexico. No, that's why I haven't done a business loan yet. I would never do one unless my business was actually taking care of itself, and I just wanted to expand.
Yeah.
So, but, yes, definitely not in the black yet, but hopefully soon. We actually only had one real release, and that was the book that I helped author. So our first, pitched and accepted author release is coming out on March 3rd. And that's a paranormal mystery we're really excited about called Dawn Seal. That's the one I was showing. So it's going to be good. We're really excited. Got a lot of good feedback already on it from our beta readers. So
what's a good timeline from basically from pitching to publishing to make sure you're not rushing too fast but you're not taking too long? Do you have like a timeline or?
that's a hard question because like when I got started with Curiosity Quills, they were a little smaller than they are now, so they had more time for me. I got my book out in like 5 or 6 months after I'd submitted, after they accepted it. Now, with the same press, they're giving me a year and a half. So I submitted my latest book to them last May. It's coming out in July, so of this year. So it's and then I have another one that it's not coming out until October that was finished way last year. And so I guess it depends on the workload. Now, if I were to come to one of you guys and you just wanted to publish with me and I said, okay, it'll be 2 years, you're probably going to say, that's okay, I'm going to go to CreateSpace, or I'm going to go try something else. So right now, ours is about 5 or 6 months. It gives us enough time to get the cover and the beta readers and editing and the proofing, all that fun stuff. So, yes.
When you say editing with your authors, do you often like more substantive editing, or is it just copy editing and we expect your work to be pretty much ready besides like some
Okay, so there's two main editing stages that our books go through. But we do want them, when we acquire them, we want them really to be up to, yeah. I mean, obviously no book is perfect when you acquire it. But so we do the content editing, so the substantive story and things like that. Hopefully by the time we acquire it, we have an idea of whether or not it's got problems or not. If it has problems, we'll probably never acquire it. So we'll go through that for a few weeks, probably 6 weeks, 8 weeks. Then I'll go back to the author. The author gets to make the changes or argue with the editor, depending. This has already happened, which is awesome. So then once the author makes the changes, they kind of pound out a consensus on any issues of contention. It goes back for another edit, which is supposed to be more of a copy edit. But it can end up being, we can end up doing as many edits as we need to get it to where it needs to be. So after the copy edit's done, it comes back to the author implements changes, it comes to me. I get a proofreader to proofread it, and then it goes through some more proofreading. It goes through, we call them advanced reader copies. We'll send out digital ARCs to interested reviewers, people who have blogs, people who are going to help advertise it once it's ready, to get early reviews so that we can hit the ground running when the book's coming out. And that's what we've been doing with Dawn. So we didn't do it in my first book because it was kind of just get it out so we have something to say we published, So, and then after that, with Immortal Works, hopefully concurrently, but sometimes it takes a little longer, we can start production on the audiobook. So, like Dawn Seal audiobook is in production right now. And we're hoping to have it done probably like May. So part of that is because the reader we got a professional reader and she has a lot of commitments. So we had to, I guess, obey her schedule. So which is fine because she's worth it. She's great. So, but yeah, that's kind of the run of it. That makes sense. And these are things I learned from the author side, being the author going through the editor. And it was just kind of funny because with some of the things I knew how to do, you know, with Adobe and Photoshop and everything, I was like, well, I think I could do this, you know. At first I thought, well, I'll just self-publish some stuff. But then I didn't really want to go that route because it's so hard to succeed in that anymore. Yeah, I don't want, I'm not going to go into that. You probably already know. But I love having a team. You know, everybody wants the same goal, and that's for all of our books to succeed. So my authors are going to promote each other's stuff, you know, in their own spheres of influence, in their own networks. And hopefully when we acquire an author, they have an audience. It's not a deal breaker if they don't. Ultimately, it just has to be a really good book. So if we think we can make something of it, not make something of it, but if we can get it out there, and then we'll acquire it and grow from there. So yeah, so this is kind of a fun experiment, you know, that we hope will turn into something permanent. Worst case scenario, our authors get their books paid for and published and cover designed, and yeah, so they get a thing like that.
Some authors are hoping to be able to walk into bookstores or libraries or whatever and see their book. Are you planning on? Is that a big push of your press, or are you thinking, I just want it out there where people can see it? Because obviously, audiobooks you can get off of whatever audio things you want, or digital copies as well. You can get them off of Amazon or wherever.
Locally, we do that. We're doing that. As far as getting into bookstores and libraries, that's a little bit high risk though, because if you don't sell them after the bookstore buys them, they return them, and then you lose money. In my own personal author experience, I had a signing at Barnes & Noble one time, and I walked in and I didn't have a new thing, so I'm just, okay, I've got these books out, I'm going to do a signing, sell some books. They'd ordered 3 cases, and I was like, my heart just dropped because I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't sell this many. And sure enough, it came back. It was like a $600 return against my royalties. So I've been getting royalties for a while. That was like last Christmas. So you got to be really careful with that because if they do order high and heavy and you don't have it might have been a different story if it was a new release. If this is like, hey, this is my brand new book. Because at least you can rely on your audience, to come get it. But no, my books have been out for a while, and there's no way I was going to sell 3 cases of them. So that was hard. So that's kind of why we're a little bit cautious with bookstores. We are trying to get them into bookstores though, and set up promotional events like that. But our aim will be audiobooks anyway. So yeah. All right, I'm out of time. I really appreciate you guys coming. I didn't know how this was going to go because I never have given a presentation like this. So I appreciate your participation. Some things we want to let you know about is we have a meet and greet meeting tomorrow night at 8 in the boardroom. And that's just for our company, Immortal Works. We'll have some snacks and we're going to have some video games, and it's just going to be kind of a hangout. You guys need to know us a little bit better and see what we have out already to see if we're as good as we say we are, if we're just printing books of Kinkos. So we have pitch sessions. LTUE is charging $20 for them. You can sign up there. I actually got my start here by signing up for a pitch session with Curiosity Pool, so I'm a testimonial, I guess. But you get 20 minutes with the agent editor, and not just us. There's people here from Tor and Future House. Those are great. Tor, obviously, is where I want to be someday, with my fantasy stuff. So yeah, FanX, we're going to be there. I'm usually on panels there, and we also have a table. I'm with the Space Law Office. You guys ever heard of that? You know. We do kind of like an improv comedy thing that's really popular. It's a lot of fun. So we're going to be at FireCon in June, Snake River Comic Con in October, September, and more. So also Flash Fiction Friday. this is fun, low risk, non-committal. If you got something that's 1,500 words that you just want to get out on iTunes or on YouTube, send it to me. And you know, unless you've written down like a grocery list and not tried it all, you know, you'll get it up on the air. So you can query us by going to the submission page of immortal-works.com. My book's authorjasonking.com if you want to check out what I do. And then, of course, Flash Fiction Friday. Check that out. So, thank you, guys. Appreciate it.